And we're live.
And we're live. Hello, everybody. How are you? And welcome to this special series of the multi-author book. Now, are we saying fuck motherhood? Are we doing FA symbol, hashtag, and star motherhood?
No, it's definitely fuck motherhood. Definitely.
Welcome, Brigid, the publisher of this multi-author book. Very, very interesting series, and it's, I would imagine, a little bit challenging as well. I'm Adaire Palmer, and bringing to you this amazing series for the authors of Fuck Motherhood on Facebook, YouTube, Amazon Live in just a moment, and over 50 channels of TV on demand via the Binge Network's syndication program. So my co-host and publisher of the book, Brigid, is there. and I'd love to know, welcome, and we do have some special guests today. I would love to know what it is that brought you to the point of publishing a book by that name as a multi-series author book. So if you share that with us, I'm going to go over to Amazon and get us live over there.
Okay, great. Thanks so much for having us, Adaire. It's lovely to have met you and coming to this world of Amazon Live. It's very exciting for us. So thank you so much for having us. The reason for Fuck Motherhood is because there's so many ways to do motherhood, and there's so many women out there who judge themselves, who get into this place of comparison. They get somewhat avoidance syndrome is what I had, and a lot of people suffer from that. There's so many ways to do motherhood, and the only right way is your way. When you become a mother, your whole world changes, and I found myself hating it, and I didn't tell anybody or speak about that. And I'm sure that I had, postnatal depression, and it was undiagnosed because I hid so well. And I don't want other mothers to suffer through that. I want everybody to see that there's so many different ways for motherhood to come to you, and so many different ways that you can live it. And that's how Fuck Motherhood came about. I actually was going to write the book myself, and I got to chapter 3 and I got stuck, and it was like, what do I do now? I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. And I was not able to go ahead and do it. G'day, Rose. Thanks for joining us. It'd be great if you catch the replay. We're talking about Fuck Motherhood today, and it's definitely a book that grew from a passion of mine to share my story. And it's something that I think that the women who joined and shared their stories are brave, and it's a beautiful thing to see people come and share their stories and be vulnerable and allow others the permission to change their reality. It's something that multi-author books are great at doing, because there's such a variety throughout the book, and it's something that I can't explain until you feel the feeling of impacting others' lives through sharing your story. It's really hard to explain the feeling, but I think the best way to say it is what happened to me when I was in my first multi-author book, and that was back in 2019, and I received over 130 messages from mothers, because my story then was about hating motherhood, and I was able to share that with the world and get those messages. It was brilliant.
Oh, hang on, we've had we have got fly eyes and octopus arms happening in the background over here. Sorry about that. Just one moment. I'm just going to switch us around.
No worries at all. No worries at all. It's hilarious.
LOLing, learning out loud. Okay, so, and we will go pop you in here. There we go. Wow. Let's have a look. We are live on Amazon now. Thank you so much for keeping the conversation going. And
I could talk about the books and multi-author and the power of storytelling for hours, Adaire.
Yeah, well, I think that's awesome, because you probably will have to when we're doing this. So I'm in the background making it all happen. Thank you so much. Now, I think it's amazing what you've done, and the fact that you've involved other people. I sort of lost you. I got to chapter 3 bit. So, so what I'll get you to do is, I'm going to bring in. We've got 3 very special guests who are contributors to this particular book today, and we do have live over on Amazon. If I come over here and get you to pop, and it should be coming into the stream now, the link to go over to Amazon, pop over there because you can purchase the book straight from the stream if you wish. And if you want to stay on Facebook, you're more than welcome to pop over there afterwards. But the link is there to grab your book yourself. And let's go with, I'll just hide that one and we'll pop Adriana in. And 3, 2, 1, and we're here. Adriana, welcome.
Thank you so much. It's exciting to be here.
It's awesome. Now, for the multi-author book, how did you hear about this, and what made you decide to contribute to a chapter? Because I believe that you are quite an established author and publisher in your own right. So maybe, Brigid, could you help me out here?
Adriana Monique Alvarez is an absolute angel. I think she dropped from the sky for me, and she's been in my world now for 3 years, and I was in her first multi-author book way back in 2019. It feels like a lifetime ago. And Adriana is now teaching other women how to become publishers so that, thousands of women can share their stories throughout the world, and men, but predominantly women, because it's such a industry where we need to make change, and having women's voices heard is a great way to do it through female publishing houses. So thank you for contributing to the book too, Adriana.
Absolutely. I heard Brigid and saw Brigid, talking about it, posting about it. Of course, she's sharing all of the updates with me, and I kept feeling like, you need to write in this book. And it's the book I really didn't want to write in. I'll write about travel, I'll write about business, I'll write about storytelling, but I don't want to write about motherhood. And the reason why is because I had a full-term stillbirth 4 years ago. And so it was this, when you're carrying this cloud over you of, you really failed at motherhood. Congratulations. And that was the dark cloud that had just followed me for 4 years. And so I really didn't want to talk about motherhood. I didn't want to talk about what I felt about it because I couldn't shake it. And the interesting thing is that at the end of last year, I heard that this would be the year that I would actually come through that. I would come through the pain and come through the grief and be able to find that next layer and level of healing and growth. And so sure enough, it happened in your book, Brigid. So thank you.
Yeah, Adriana, you shared something that's so vulnerable, and I think that it's not spoken about enough in Fuck Motherhood, and you shared it in Fuck Motherhood, and it's not spoken about enough in the world. And I think that, that opportunity for others to see that there's permission to choose how you respond to situations. Can you just share a little bit about what the story is that you shared about?
I shared about how, once I lost Nina, I already had 2 little boys. And so I think if I would have went through the grieving process and it was just me, it would have been one thing. But every single day I had these 2 little boys who were looking at me, and I needed to keep functioning. I needed to keep being there for them. And so in my story, I talk about how Sam taught me how I could both be grieving and missing Nina and wondering, why did this happen? And I could be happy because it happened through a day when we went to the park and I really didn't want to go. It was one of those hard days. And it was the day he learned how to ride a bike. And I realized that going through loss and grief and pain, it's not about being sad all the time. It's actually learning how to simultaneously experience emotions. And that was a huge gift, because then it allowed me to give myself permission. I didn't feel like, oh, I can't be happy, or I can't enjoy this moment because this happened. But then, of course, it just kept developing. That was 2 years ago. And just a few months ago, Grant, my other son, kept talking about Nina and this and that and the other, and just expressing his anger about what happened. Not knowing, why did I never get that sister? Why did you never bring her home? You said you were going to do that. And as I began to uncover the layers, I realized what he was really upset about was the fact that I couldn't move forward. I couldn't clearly see the two boys in front of me. I couldn't see him in front of me. I couldn't see how special he was, because I was still looking for Nina. I was still trying to figure that out. And so he helped me realize that if I did not come into the present moment, if I couldn't let the past go, I was missing out on these amazing moments with the two kids that are here, the two that are in front of me. And that, it shifted everything. I have been able to wholeheartedly come here and look them in the eyes and be present for this moment with these kids.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing, isn't it? When you can share a story like that and know that you can have that experience and still be in the moment and honor that experience, but bring it with you into being there and being present for your family that you have today. That's, wow, that is an amazing. Thank you for sharing that. It's just
thank you.
It is. It's something that can profoundly shift the mindset of others, because you shared the shift that you had, and that's what's really powerful about storytelling. And I think that's so grateful that people get vulnerable and share these stories in the books. And Fuck Motherhood is blessed to have your story in there.
Thank you. And the truth of the matter is what really brought this full circle was another contributor in this book. And the others are gonna meet her here in a minute. But Sarah contacted me, reached out to me when the book was getting ready to be launched, and she said, would you be willing to go live with me and talk about the book? And she said, we don't have to talk about anything you don't want to talk about. Well, that day I was extra happy and light, and I said, we can talk about anything. And so I decided to go to the river with the boys beforehand, because I thought, I'm going to have lots of fun, and I'm going to be in the sun and be in the water. And I came back for the interview, and, I've got my hat on, my tank top, but it's just so casual, and we're having fun. And while we're speaking, I get it. I finally get the whole thing. And it was like everything went into slow motion. And what I said on that live was, I buried a child. And what if there's nothing wrong with that? What if this was a beautiful experience to move me into a new place? What if it's teaching us all something? What if there's nothing wrong with that? And it was like the shackles, any remaining bits, they just fell off of me. And I literally, I got off the live and I looked out this window. I have this beautiful window. There's always deer and trees out here. And I could see my circle of angels, guides, and ancestors. And they were just shooting up in the air, 6-8 feet. And it was like they were celebrating my liberation, because I finally got it. When you get past just the human experience and you get the higher purpose, that's what happened through this book.
Wow. So powerful, so amazingly powerful. And what would your advice be to other people who feel like they have a story to share, or they want to do some sort of like that? That's I've forgotten the word. It's like, you girls do words all the time, don't you? It is cathartic.
Yes.
Cathartic.
It really is.
And so if you feel like, what would your advice be to people who feel like they've got something to say but are too afraid to share? Yeah.
Yeah. And here's the thing is, if you feel afraid to share, that's what everybody feels. It's not unique to you. That's what it feels like to be right on that edge of not only sharing it with others, but you coming face to face with it for yourself. Because obviously every time we write about something, every time even this story, I had lived it out. I had discussed it. I talked to people. I had done all of these things. But when I wrote it down, and writing it down, something powerful happens, because we excavate and we explore corners of ourselves that are not quite touched on when we're in other means and ways of communication. And also what I noticed is it allowed me to fully honor myself. So many people don't know that once you write it out and once you pass it on and give it to the world, there's this huge self-honoring component that happens in that. Is you acknowledge your path, you acknowledge your journey, you acknowledge the scars, the bleeding, and I'm still here. I'm still here. And not only am I still here, but I actually have a gift to pass on. So if you can tap into that and remember that it is for you and it is for others, and it will feel scary, and there will be people who appreciate it. There's going to be people who are grateful and excited, and there also might be people who it pushes their buttons, but it's also good for them because there's something inside of them for them to share as well.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Adriana. That's amazing. And thank you for sharing your story here with us on mytimetv.live. We're live on Facebook. We're over on YouTube. We're on LinkedIn. And we're also on the Amazon live shopping channel. So if you would like to purchase your copy of this amazing book, I believe it's just come out in paperback.
Yeah, just today. Released today on paperback.
So do pop over and get your copy, and you can read the stories. There's a lot of learning in there. Let me just do that one again. Here we go.
There it is. Yeah.
Okie doke. So thank you. Is there anything else you'd like to add, Adriana? The things that the other messages you'd like to give.
The other thing that I would like to say is I want to thank Brigid and women like her who are highlighting stories and messages, because this is the thing that I've observed, is that most people, they need someone to encourage them and champion them and help them cross the line. And that's what Brigid does so well. Without a cheerleader, without a doula, without that support, we don't birth these stories into the world.
Yes. That's so true. Without someone giving us permission often too, isn't it? It's like saying, yes, you can do this, and no, and you'll come out the other side a better person for it.
Absolutely.
Brilliant. Okay. So, Adriana, thank you so much. You're in Colorado in the US.
Yes.
It must be getting towards evening there. Is that Central Time?
We're Mountain Time.
Mountain Time.
Yeah. So it is. It's evening. I happen to have family that came by, so I have a house full of people, and it's fun.
Well, kudos for keeping the noise out.
I gave instructions.
We'll let you go and enjoy your family and your friends. Thank you so much for joining us. And
Adaire, thank you.
I'm sure we will speak again very soon.
Sounds good.
Thanks, Adriana. Bye.
Thank you.
I love how this system works, Adaire. This is so much fun, sharing the book and talking to you and the authors. It's a great program, and never come across something like this before. So really grateful that you introduced us to this.
Yes, well, I'd have to give a shout out to the Be Live team from that's the software that I'm using. They're amazing. You can do all sorts of fancy pants things with this software and stream in many different places at once. And it pulls all the comments in and allows you to do things like this, show comments on screen. So shout out to the Be Live. And also they are amazing. So we have 2 guests that we will bring in and have a conversation. We have Linda Emslie and Sarah Beale. So welcome to you both. I'll just get Sarah unmuted. And there we are, the Brady Bunch.
Oh, dear.
It's usually the other way, isn't it?
Yeah, the way you think it's going to be, it's not.
Yeah, I got it right this time.
So as with every good program, everything went out the window the minute I pressed play. So what I want to do, instead of reading out bios, I just wanted to get you to share a little bit about yourselves, each of you, in turn, and then we can have a chat about, the sorts of things that we talked about with Adriana, but just a little bit about your background. And we can start with you, Linda. What sort of led you down this path, becoming an author of a multi-author book, in a multi-author book, and sort of why you chose this topic?
Wow. Okay. So becoming a writer is something I've actually always wanted. It's one of my childhood dreams, and it's just something I never really got there with. I came across Brigid on Facebook a couple of years ago, and I've kind of been watching her transition from the background, so to speak. And when I saw her talking about this particular book, it was just like my spirit guide, I think, must have jumped inside me and bodily pushed me forward. And I had no choice. It's like, yes, I'm writing in this. Absolutely no idea what I'm going to write, because I've got a few fuck motherhood stories to share. But as a mum of 4, I thought, yeah, I've got a few stories here. But my focus has really been on the way our society is set up to focus on the consumerism aspect of things. We're so focused on getting ahead, getting money, and we've only got this one way of doing it. It's very mechanical, and it's like we're all in little boxes and you have to do it this particular way. There's no other way of doing it. And as a natural therapist practitioner for the last 10 years, I've seen a lot of women in particular really suffering from this lifestyle, this idea that they've got to be a mum, they've got to be a worker, they've actually got to care for parents as well. There's all these pressures on them to be the thing that keeps everything going, and they're having massively high stress levels, and it's resulting in chronic illness across the board for many, many women. And looking back on my own story as a mum of 4 young girls working in, middle management in the public sector, I completely understand how that happens. This whole squashing of the feminine identity. There's no room in the modern world, in the way we work, for feminine energy to flow in its natural state. And that's where we end up with all this illness. So that's basically the story that I share in Fuck Motherhood, is how I actually nearly went crazy trying to be a mum to 4 girls, work 8 o'clock in the morning till 4:21 in the afternoon. And if anybody in Darwin is listening, they'll know exactly who I used to work for. And meeting all the needs of the kids on the weekend. Now I've got a beautiful husband who really does his share when he can, but he's a shift worker. You can't argue with someone who has to sleep off a night shift. You're left to do all the mothering. So it was a case of, adrenal fatigue. It was completely forgetting who I was, putting myself at the bottom of the list, and completely ignoring my body going, I can't do this anymore. And it took me actually voicing to my husband, if you don't let me do this is when I wanted to leave the job that I had and completely change track and become a natural therapist. I said, if you don't let me do this, you're going to be taking me down to the mental ward because I'll be sectioned and you'll be bringing the kids there to see me. And that's when I just went, oh, fuck. And he went, oh, fuck. So that's my fuck motherhood story.
Wow. Well, thank you for sharing that. I want to come back to you in a moment, Linda, but let's hear from Sarah now about your story, about what's led you to becoming an author in a multi-author book, and share some of your experiences.
Yeah, and I just wanted to say, Linda, we never spoke about this before, but I think we might have had the same employer. We'll have to have a conversation about that later.
Me too, and I don't even live in Darwin, so there you go.
Yeah, me neither. So I'm also a mum to 4 children, and as you were talking, Linda, and having read your chapter, I can relate very much to this, the expectations of mothers, and it's really related to what I wrote about in the book too, and my lived experience of why that is so, and the grief that we feel as mothers for the loss of our village, the loss of our sisters, our aunties, our other women that should be in our lives supporting us, so that we don't have to all be living our nuclear lives, working jobs, looking after children, all of the care that we do for other people in our families and communities, and we're all doing the same stuff alone. Makes no fucking sense. That's not what I didn't really write specifically about that. That's a bit of a tangent, but what I wrote about really, and this is my life, my children are quite insane, and because of who they were born to be, which happens to be exactly who they were meant to be and who they are, right? They drove me insane, to the point that I realised I had to live with them in a completely different way. I could not live with them in a conventional sort of authoritarian, parents say what goes, kids do what they're told paradigm, because that's not what they wouldn't have it, not a bar of it. And it took me a little bit. It probably took me to my 3rd child to work out what the other 2 had been trying to tell me. And then I had another one just to make sure I got it right. And I'm grateful to all of them. So really my life is really also activism as well, because it's very much about decolonization. It's very much about deprogramming and unlearning everything that we think is true of family life, of the way mothers have to be, of the way children are. My children don't go to school, so that's a very big part of my life too. So I have the great honour and joy of observing my children grow up in freedom. And when I'm talking about freedom, what I'm talking about is self-governance. Like they get to choose what they do, they get to choose how they spend their time, and they get to choose who they hang out with, and pretty much everything really. Like they choose how we live, and that makes a really big difference to family dynamics. And that's really how they want to live. But it was also very it's also been not only challenging, because it is very different to how we're told we should be with our children, but also very healing, because actually what happens is that your children like poke on all of your wounds by doing the like really annoying things that children all do. And eventually I realized that was a gift, that our children do that to help us heal, and to help us stop these generational patterns of abuse, really, that are perpetuated and have been for thousands of years. So my children aren't unique, by the way. There's many, many children like mine. I know Linda definitely.
Sarah, I just want
have these
to say
children.
what was going through my mind when I was listening to you there was like, when my next life, I'm coming back as one of your kids, right? Because I found what you were saying was so challenging, and I'm going, because we all go back to our own experiences, and I'm going, gee, can I even imagine having that approach with my kids? Like I can say, yeah, that sounds like a great idea, but the practical reality of doing that and stepping way outside of mainstream and creating a new paradigm to work from, holy fuck. Wow, that's powerful stuff.
Yeah, it's full on. I always point out to people that this is not the plan. This was not my plan. Like I did have the scenario in my mind of like perfect children who did what they were told and didn't eat spaghetti bolognese on the sofa or draw on the walls. And but those children went to live with someone else. So I got my children and they said, hell no. So I didn't really have a choice. I had to kind of just like really get with it. Otherwise I would have been in constant conflict. And well, you know what, like young children are like. My children were born quite close together too. They are actually like herding freaking cats. Like they are, yeah. So you either just have to go with it or, well, I didn't want to be one of those mums that was like constantly telling their kids off and constantly making them do stuff, because that's not fun. And one of the big lies that we're told about motherhood is that it can't be fun, that we've got to be like the taskmaster, we've got to be authoritarian, we've got to set the tone for the, you know, and it's really boring. Like I find that really boring. I don't want to do it. So.
Well, it sounds like you're a right rule breaker. And I always say about my kids, I have my mum said to me, I hope you have a kid that's just like you, and I did. She's my third daughter and I love her to bits. And it was like, you're going to go a long way, whichever way you choose to go.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm hogging the conversation here. I'd love to know, but I can see Linda and Brigid are going, please speak.
It's okay. I think Sarah's story just highlights to people that, you know, you choose how you want to do motherhood, because there's nothing wrong with the way that she does motherhood. And there's a lot of people that would go into judgment about that. And I know when I first met Sarah, I was like, oh, fuck, I wish I had met her when, you know, my child was 6 months old, not when he was 15 going on 16. And it's like, you know, something that you go and think, well, how can I do things differently now? Even though we're in the school system and, you know, they've got this, they're used to that and they want that now, but it's because they've been trained into it, not because it's what they wanted to do. But I do things differently now. You know, at the moment we're homeschooling, or it's not homeschooling, it's online learning at home. And I've just said to them, do what you can. Can't do it, don't worry about it. Whereas before, meeting Sarah, it would have been, oh my God, you've got to do your schoolwork. This is ridiculous. You know, get the work done. And I would have been the one stressing out. Then they would have stressed out and the whole family is stressed out. And it's like, well, why do that? You know, it's not the circumstance we're in at the moment. It's what it is and we just have to deal with it. And I've just said, you know, do what you can. I actually just said to them this morning, I said, if you can not be on, that'd be great. Because, you know, they have to get on the internet and get on their Zooms and stuff. So I've got to do this Amazon Live. So my shit's more important than yours today.
I'm sure that they'll use that against you one day. You know that, right?
Yeah, they will. But, you know, Linda, when you were talking before about sharing your story about motherhood, but you work with women who are in that chronic health. And I said to you a long time ago about, well, how could you tell a story about motherhood and it relate to working with women who have chronic health illnesses? And you explained it beautifully, so I'm going to let you do that again.
Oh, goodness. Okay. What did I say to you, Brigid? I think it has a lot to do with, you know, a lot of the themes that are in the book about this idea that there is a particular way that we have to be. So, you know, Fuck Motherhood is about this idea of there's a particular way that you are a mum. and you're seen to be successful if you do it this way. And this idea of being a successful mum, I mean, that's just an oxymoron. You are who you are and you mother your way. So that's a theme that I actually work with women. It's this whole thing of being disconnected from our own essential nature, and in particular the archetypal flows that I work with in the feminine energy of the maiden, the mother and the crone. So when we see these perverted as they are in modern society, like, you know, the mother energy, we're basically brainwashed and isolated, you know, as Sarah's talked about in her story, this loss of village, loss of sisterhood. You know, this idea of us being completely disconnected individuals is a really significant part of what's making the whole of humanity sick and the whole of the planet sick. Mm-hmm. So I see this manifest particularly in the mother energy, because I think that's where the highest pressure is at the moment, particularly for women of my generation, where they have this expectation that I'm supposed to do it this way because this is how my parents did it and it worked for them, but it's not working for me. I can't keep up. There's so many things I have to do. And it's this, well, do you have to do all those things? Who says? Well, society says. Well, why don't we just change society? You know, and that's the other thing that's a recurring theme in Fuck Motherhood is paradigm shift. Each one of us are talking about paradigm shift. So, yeah, the pressure of modern living, particularly for women, is resulting in higher incidence of chronic conditions, autoimmune disease and central sensitivity syndromes for women than it is for men. And it's this whole idea of the imbalance in our global energies of masculine and feminine, but not only that, the masculine energy that is kind of up at the moment is toxic. It's not the healthy, divine masculine. It's really toxic. So we need to heal ourselves, bring the feminine back into balance so that we can heal this masculine wounded energy and then be back in beautiful dynamic balance and actually evolve as human beings the way we're meant to evolve.
I think that's amazing when you share that around the toxicity for the masculine and the feminine energy, and having that the balance that's not there, which it really can. It does. It fucks us up. It's just, I haven't sworn so much. I feel like really. I have to say that I'm finding it both refreshing and challenging because I have a my own personal belief is that there is some sort of persona that you present publicly. So it is. I'm finding it a bit challenging for me. So when now, who was it that was saying that they were resisting and they know it? Was that Adriana or you, Sarah? They say there was that resistance to writing this, and you know that you have to do it when you feel that resistance. It was Adriana.
Adriana, yeah, that's absolutely true.
And it's like this is just that tiny little word, you know, that, you know, I should be able to swear like a sailor, really, you know.
Living on a boat, yeah. Oh dear. Well, I think that was the reason that I used the word in the book was to really disrupt society, you know, so that people go, oh my God, can you say that? Like, you know, they actually stand it, and then it gets them a little intrigued. And I know my mum has difficulty with me using that word, and she's like, oh darling, I think the book name's wrong. Bless her heart.
Is really, the book name or
it really touches on that idea that women have to still be nice. Yeah, like I was having a conversation about this with my 13-year-old actually yesterday. We were chatting about that. That was certainly very much ingrained in me growing up, that you have to be nice, and we still, I don't, but like our society still expects little girls to act a certain way. Boys don't have to, they can act another way, which actually ends up meaning or translating to girls can't say what they really think. Girls always have to censor what they say and how they say it. Girls always have to worry about and then women, of course, how other people feel or respond to what we say or what we think. And most of us carry that through until we're like bloody middle-aged. Like, it was my children who again, by being themselves, showed me that not only was it acceptable to be myself, but like preferable and a gift to the rest of the world. Imagine if all the other women in the world knew what a gift it was to actually be themselves. And more than that, like, we should share it with other people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Linda.
I was just thinking, there's so many of the stories that are shared in Fuck Motherhood. You know, that's really the central issue, is finding yourself and giving yourself permission to be okay with that. You know, to stop the bullshit. You know, that's the other thing we do. We call bullshit on all this bloody pretense about how you're supposed to be. There's only one way to do motherhood, and it's the same way you do your life. There's only one way to do that, and that's your way. Yeah. So we really hope that's what the readers get out of the book.
Getting back to yourself. So you've shared your aha moments, and Nigel's here. Nigel's my beautiful partner. He brought up 2 girls by himself, so he might be able to contribute from a male perspective that isn't toxic. You know, like, it's just really interesting that I know you work with females, but it is interesting that they are out there. If we get our vibration aligned with the people who are doing the less of the mainstream and the more of let's make alternative mainstream, ladies. Yes.
It is. We are.
That's what we're doing.
Absolutely.
Well, I don't know that it's alternative anymore. I think it's normal. It's normalizing this is really, really important. I think, and also, and I wasn't going to bring it up, but you know what, my mouth is just going off and I was going to say it. We have not been living in a normal society for nearly 2 years now. Yeah, that's very true, Adaire. Very true. And I think that's what happens to mothers, is that they're put in a box and they're expected to be a certain way. And, you know, I lived in that for 10 years, pretending that I liked it because everybody thought that I should. And it wasn't until I realized that what I didn't like about it was the things I didn't actually have to do. So I just stopped doing them. And I was like, well, why did I pretend all that time? You know, I used to send videos to my sisters of the baby under the playpen, and then the baby having no nappy time, and then the baby doing something else. And I'd write to them, like, I'd have to download the video, and, you know, there was a whole process you had to go through back then. It wasn't like on your phone, send it to them. You couldn't jump on Facebook Live. It was I'd send it to them and I'd go, how fucking boring is this job? Like, this sucks. So the perfect children. And then I felt guilt for thinking that. And they made me feel guilty because they didn't have children. And they were like, Brigid, you're supposed to love it. Like, what is wrong with you? You know, and I started thinking, what is wrong with me? You know, so then I didn't talk about that anymore and pretended that I did like it, and pretended to cry when I went back to work. Like, what was that about? Oh, I'm so sorry I left my baby. And it was like, inside I'm going, yes.
You know, when women when you've got your little children, right, and they're being completely feral at the supermarket or whatever, and I always had 4 of them with me, being feral at the supermarket, and someone, I mean, first of all, people criticize you for that, but then in the other breath, somebody else will go, oh, you've got to enjoy every minute, or they'll tell you how they really miss it, and you're like, fuck off. There's 4 children climbing on the shelves, pulling lollies off, having tantrums on the floor, and women are told we've got to enjoy every fucking minute. No.
Yeah.
There's a lot of it that's really freaking hard, right? Like, whether it's not really enjoying it but not being allowed to say that, or Brigid, like, imagine if you had been told, or someone had given you permission to say, I'm not enjoying it. This is like, what? I made a mistake. Whatever. Like, if you've been allowed to say that, like, someone could have said, oh, you don't have to do that. You could do this instead. Or you could, like, there would have been a way for you to find some joy in it that you didn't find because you weren't allowed to actually be open about how you feel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
can
true.
you
so
can't,
true.
I guess you can't go, well, hang on, I want to do over on that one.
Can you
you
point
just
back?
keep having more children.
Yeah, I had another one. I thought that might fix it.
Yeah, I'm definitely resonating with all of your stories in one way or another. And I'd love to know if you are watching this for the replay and you're feeling like you're resonating with these stories and getting some stuff out of it that gives you permission to change your paradigm to help you live with what's happening in your life as a mother. So you can say, fuck motherhood, and you can move on with it. You can release some of the expectations and the bullshit that's holding you back from just being you and letting your kids be them. Seriously, that's just, let us know. We'd love to hear what your experiences have been. And if you need any help, I'm sure there's people here, they just pop it there. Help me, I don't know, I'm stuck and I hate my kids. I don't want to tell anybody. You don't have to say that, but I'm getting a bit carried away here. I'm just going to pop myself out and I will encourage you to grab, I think you can still hear me if I do this.
Oh, yeah. So encourage everybody to pop over to the Amazon Live, and the link is in the comments, and you can grab your copy of Fuck Motherhood from there. The paperback came out today, which is really exciting.
Yay.
Absolutely. It's such a it's good to have a paperback, hey, of being able to, you know, the ebook is definitely great, but to actually hold the book in your hand when you become a published author, like, that's a good feeling, isn't it?
Yeah, look,
I haven't got a copy of any of my books because not a paperback copy. I can never get them, and because I'm like living between countries, I can order anything else on Amazon. I could probably buy a gun, get it delivered to my house. Can't get a freaking book that I'm in.
Oh, geez, Sarah, that's hilarious. I didn't know that. I'm sorry you're in that predicament.
I could get someone in Australia to order it for me, but postage from Australia to the UK is like, it's crazy. So I'll get one day.
I did not realise you were in the UK. I knew that there was a contributor in the UK, but I didn't know it was you.
That's why it's so. Didn't you wonder why it was so dark? It's nearly.
I thought we were matching here, kinda.
No, it's nearly 1 a.m.
Oh, look at that! Like, kudos to you, girl.
I know, she's amazing.
Because I'm a mother of young children, I stay up way too late watching Netflix while everybody's asleep.
It's decompressing, isn't it? Compressing. Yeah. Look, we have. Oh dear. Ooh, I've had someone say, "Oh, the F word being used on Amazon." I should have checked the rules. Let's hope.
That's the offensive Australians and swearing on American bloody.
I haven't heard any Amazon live stream where streamers are using the F word. Wow. Well, thank you for understanding, because this is an F word show.
I think there's a number of books out there with the F word in them, and it might be a shock to some people to actually hear us say the word, but it's not. We're not saying it in malice, though. You know, it's not. Really? It's not. It's more to disrupt, and it's more to make people sit up and pay attention to that there is, there's issues around motherhood that aren't addressed, and that no matter, like Linda said, and I have, I'm preaching to the converted here, but you can do motherhood anyway, and the best way is your way. And that's the whole premise behind the book, Fuck Motherhood, is to get people to actually understand that and to allow that to be an option for them to do it their way rather than the way that everybody else says how to do it. I do have a line that I say is whenever any of my family are now pregnant or having babies, whatever, I say, take all the advice from everyone and go, yeah, thank you. And then go and do it your own way anyway. Don't worry about what they're saying. Don't listen to them.
Yep.
That is a really, really good, because everyone knows how to do it, don't they? So it's like living on a boat. Everybody knows how to do it, and I just go, well, I'll take what I want out of it, and you can only experience it for yourself and apply the things that resonate with you at the time that they resonate, and that it might change that tomorrow, and that's okay as well. So I've just got Freddie here. And MC is saying it should be a private Zoom meeting, not an Amazon live stream. MC, I'd just like to mention, I can't show your comments on the screen because Amazon, we don't have that capacity, but thank you for joining us, and thank you so much for sharing your opinion. This is actually intended to be a live stream. It's intended to be live on Amazon because this book, which is Motherhood, so I won't say the word if it's offending you right now, but you'll see it in the stream and you'll be able to purchase it and have a look. It's not intended to be offensive at all. It is to say, wake up, have a look at what's happening. This is the experience of an amazing group of women who have experienced motherhood and have written their part of stories, a small slice, a story of their experiences as a mother that's been cathartic for them, and it's helped them move into a place of evolution and growth. And the word there, as Brigid said, was not put there to offend anybody, but it was to get attention and make you think that there are other ways of thinking and being that can be completely acceptable. So it's a whole paradigm.
How many people have complained about us saying the word fuck on Amazon? Was it 3 or 4?
No, 1. So I'm just
only one person.
I'm just saying.
I mean, I've never apologized for saying that word in my life, and I won't. And, this is the other thing about being women. We're forced into a position of apology and defense, and that is not cool. We say no. We say fuck that in this road.
I have so much to learn from you ladies.
I would also consider that there's not another single word in the English language that encapsulates exactly what you feel at that point in your motherhood when you go, fuck this. There is no
I can think of one. I can think of one more. And that's our word too.
I would use that word to see my daughter's eyebrows shoot right up. So she's used to me doing it to her now, but
but I mean, the whole point of sharing our stories and what we're doing here is, yes, we're here to disrupt, and it will ruffle feathers. And I agree with you, Sarah, that we can't apologise for that, because it's time for us to break out of our box and be okay with who we actually are.
All right, so we do have a little bit of angst happening over on the Amazon live stream, and we won't apologise for that. Thank you, ladies. But what we will do, I think we can move on to more productive conversation and move out of a defensive stance, because there is, like you said, there is nothing wrong with being who we are and coming from a different paradigm. So what I'd like to do is just have a chat with the aha moments that you had as you were writing. I know you've shared them, but we'll be specific. If you had 1 or 2 aha moments that have come up for you that have really made an impact, and if people think about it from their own perspective, how that might help them with their lives or their parenting. I'll play some thinking music.
I actually, Brigid knows this. I jumped into this book, I think, before she'd even announced it. Right, I was so excited, and I was like, I've got so much I could write. I left it to beyond the last minute because I was like super cocky that I was just going to sit down and like smash it out, which did not happen. I reckon I wrote about 6 rewrites because first of all, 4,000 words is not a lot to kind of get like birthing 4 children into. And it seemed like such a heavy responsibility then to contribute to a book like this, which would prompt and provoke conversations like these, that it's like every word felt so weighty. And then I realized eventually that I was approaching it the same way I'd approached everything in my early mothering years, of trying to make sure it was absolutely freaking perfect and trying to make sure it was exactly what I had to do and make sure I wasn't offending anybody, and I had to like just like rewind. And so I guess my aha moment was when I finally got the words. It was really quite like metaphorical for my mothering journey, because I didn't need to make it perfect. I just needed to tap into the words that came that were exactly the words that somebody else would need to hear, and that they were my words and my story, not somebody else's. And it was completely within my power, I guess, and the other thing that was really aligned with my mothering journey as I was writing was this idea of, and this is a strong theme in my life, letting go of control to find the flow. And that's really how I strive to live, like no force, just flow. And that's what I had to tap into finally to get the bloody words out. But whenever I sat down and felt like, oh my God, Brigid's going to like kill me because I'm going to be late with my chapter, I'd sit down and like, I think Brigid's chapter was later than mine, actually.
Letting the cat out of the bag. Yeah, she's letting the cat out of the bag. I actually just wrote mine the day it had to be with the formatter. Oh. I was like sending messages to her saying, I'm really sorry, my book, it is coming.
Linda, what about some aha moments for you that might be able to be takeaways for people watching?
Yeah, I think it really gave me the opportunity to look back at who I was at that stage of my life and to just see how misguided I'd been by societal programming. Like I was really operating to an ideal that I didn't really understand or own, but I was striving to reach it anyway. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the journey that I go on is, you know, this constantly running into like a brick wall, literally, trying to meet this ideal. It was, with 2020 hindsight, I can see it and I can forgive myself for the decisions that I made. It's been a real journey of forgiveness for myself and understanding, it's almost like seeing me as a different person, going, I understand now why she thought that way. I understand now why she operated that way. And with that understanding, you know, drawing that out so other people who are in that situation now can go, oh, I'm doing that. And this is what it meant for this person. I wonder what it means for me. And it gives them opportunity to stop and think about, well, what does this actually mean for me? You know? And I do actually have a choice, because often when we're in the intensity of the rush, we don't think there's any choice, but there is always choice. So, yeah, that was my aha, was recognizing those moments where the universe was throwing lines for me and I wasn't seeing it. I just wasn't seeing it.
Yeah. And Linda, you have a really nice story of a friend that messaged you when the book came out and they read your story.
Yeah. One of my oldest, dearest friends actually messaged me the day we became an international bestseller saying, I've just read your chapter. Thank you. I'm right in that spot at the moment. And this is like the universal message I needed to hear right now. Thank you. And that just completely broke me down. I was in tears for most of the day, just knowing that being so vulnerable and sharing something so, raw in my own past has helped someone who's so dear to me. You know, if that's all that my particular story does, then, you know, job done. But if that helps somebody else in a similar situation, then I'm grateful. I'm absolutely grateful.
Yeah, that's awesome. And those sort of stories, I think that we don't realize how much that we can impact and help people by sharing our stories, because often people don't reach out and tell you. They won't, you know, they connect and they'll take some things away, but they don't, you know, quite often they won't say, hey, this has made an impact. So that was that. You can treasure that. That is really awesome. And also, if you are, when you purchase the book, I say when you purchase the book, whether it be Kindle version or paperback version is out today, you can, by all means, reach out to any of the authors and let them know where they, you know, how they've impacted you and that they have impacted you. I think that's a great idea. And what we will do is we'll have your socials, we'll get your contact details popped into the comments, and we'll pretend that was meant to happen anyway. So
I love it. Fly by the seat of our pants. That's how we all operate. It's fantastic.
And it all works out perfectly in the end, doesn't it? Might not be exactly how we plan it, but it always works out perfectly. Yeah. So, Brigid, is there any final words that you'd like to say to wrap up? I'm really, before we do that, I'd just like to say that I am really excited to do this series with you, and we will be bringing you more each Thursday for the next 2 weeks, and then 2 or 3 weeks, and then on the Friday. So 2 more Thursdays and a Friday, and we will have covered off the authors in this amazing book that's just released on paperback today called Fuck Motherhood on Amazon, and you'll find the link under this. If you're over on Amazon watching, you can purchase it straight from this recording. It's there, or it might be there depending on where you're looking. Or it could be anywhere around. Just look for a red book with a big M on it, white M on it, and purchase your copy. So, all right. So, Brigid, yes, we look forward to speaking to you again. Any last words that you'd like to say to sum it all up for today?
I just think that, be open to reading a book that has this word on it, because it's something that, you can get a lot out of something when you feel you're butting up against it. And that's the whole premise of the book, is to show people what's possible when you choose your own way. And, I'm so much happier in motherhood since I started to choose my own way to do it, rather than looking at the way society said to do it. And it's something that, you can take those lessons in your own life, whether you have children or not. And I think that that's something that we all need to adhere to, especially in this day and age. So thank you, Adaire, for having us. And thank you, ladies, for joining us. It's been a pleasure seeing your faces today. And, go buy the book.
Okay, thank you so much. Thanks, now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you to stay. Don't go anywhere. I'm going to stop the stream. Now, what happens when you stop the stream, it goes, it takes about 20 seconds because there's a lag. But I want to take this opportunity for us to sit there like Cheshire cats and make it. And when I stop the stream, don't go out of the studio. Just sit there and grin. And we might even get